tactical gear, helmets and shields and hand zip ties. And I'm assuming that they would also have weapons on them because they would not necessarily know the level of resistance or if
Are you brain dead, lady? They have weapons on them because they're cops. Cops always have weapons. What do you mean? Oh, those cops are carrying guns. You know, those protesters must be really dangerous. What?
it was armed resistance that they would be, in fact, encountering. Tell me about the coordination, though, that it would take to have this many NYPD officers on a college campus. Miguel Marquez says barricading and closing off streets like Broadway and Amsterdam, major thoroughfares, really, in these certain areas, particularly Broadway. What kind of coordination and planning would it have taken to get to this point, to have the resistance be as minimal as it seemed to have been?
Well, it's not that difficult to get a bunch of cops out there, okay? I know that cops are all like thumbs with 70 IQ, so getting them to follow any orders is probably pretty difficult past, like, I don't know, apprehend that black person. It's not that impressive, okay? You don't need to suck them off.
I think what you saw is over the last 2 days, when students took the building, then barricaded the building, and then today as they held that building, the NYPD has been talking to Columbia University literally every day for 2 weeks about the group that was camped out on the quad, on the lawn, about whether Columbia wanted police to come in and remove them a second time. So when the building was taken, the security cameras inside were smashed, barricades were put around at all the entrances. Columbia made the decision that this is where the line is drawn and called them in. For police, this was a plan that they had already been considering, and that they brought a lot of people, but they also brought a lot of special equipment, as you mentioned. They brought the emergency service unit. Those are the people with the jaws of life if they have to breach a door. Those are the people with the tools to cut through any...
This is a lot of words for they got a lot of guys together. They had hammers and pliers, you know? We found some guys with bolt cutters, you know? We found the officers who had been given a 6-month vocational course on how to use basic tools.
Barricades that they have to. Those are the people who have the flashbangs if they needed a distraction device. But what you didn't see was a lot of special weapons. In other words, they came armed the way police officers do with their sidearms.
Okay, he's saying it at least.
There wasn't any particular large number of SWAT-type weapons because they knew they were dealing with kids. They knew they were dealing with protesters. They knew they were likely to be unarmed.
What is this yapping commentary? Look, what has happened here is pretty clear-cut and straightforward. The purpose of the media in this moment is to direct public sympathy away from the protesters. It's that simple, really. Like, the consent machine go burr. The framing is going to constantly, like, overstate the harm or threat of harm from the protesters. As we're going to see, there were numerous instances of police brutality, of, like, counter-protesters breaking the law, but the media is not going to talk about that. This is unironically one of those things the mainstream media won't tell you kind of situations, you know? They are completely united. They are assembled in their defense of Capitol here. Somebody linked this. Minutes of the attack. 24 minutes of the attack at UCLA. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Oh yeah, and the building breach. Oh, we got the dramatic music. This dramatic footage from last night that we added dramatic music to. Thank you. Got to get those military vehicles out there to go through a window. To end the occupation on the campus in New York. The New York City Police Department and the Gaza Solidarity protesters united in their desire to end the occupation. Oh, here's that one video of somebody using a hammer plus another hammer to open a door. That's crazy. Oh, same video clip right here. Yeah. Got some zip tie arrests. Very dramatic. We have music overwhelming the voice of the New York City mayor. who is in this video clip saying that the protesters have been co-opted by professional outside agitators. Just so you guys know, okay, this rhetoric right here, that the Columbia student protesters have been co-opted by outside agitators, this is unironically like war on terror, like every resistance to the Iraq war is actually Al Qaeda conspiring against the U.S. bullshit. Like this is literally just the liberal version of like the George Soros QAnon tier conspiracy that all opposition has to be constructed by some kind of like great imagined other. Genuinely psychotic. Like this is indistinguishable from the Red Scare era language, you know? Look at the community note on this. They're not even trying. I saw this. Look at this.
When we entered Hamilton Hall, this is not what students bring to school. Okay, this is what professionals bring to campuses. And
listen, students don't bring these kinds of chains to school. Okay, only professional terrorists could use chains like this. Scroll down. Columbia University Public Safety sells these exact bike chain locks to its students to help prevent bike thefts. This guy, Deputy Commissioner Tarek Shepard, was instructed to lie to construct a narrative. This is not like coincidental idiocy. This is not like magically every single person involved in the police, in politics, in media are all lying in the same way to promote a narrative of outside influence. This is a constructed narrative. It is happening the exact same way that it did back during the Iraq War or back after 9/11, where, you don't need some kind of crazy top-down conspiracy to get everyone to lie, all right? If it is known that there is a narrative to push, that narrative will get pushed, you know? The media, the police, and the politicians all operate in the defense of the same basic interests on average.
Universities. These are heavy industrial chains that were locked with bike locks. And this is what we encountered on every door inside of Hamilton Hall. And so in order for our emergency services group to enter into the building, they had to first cut through these chains, but also get rid of debris and barricaded doors that were barricaded with refrigerators, vending machines, chairs, you name it. They pushed it up against those doors to try.
Wow, you mean the same thing that happens every time protesters take a building? That's crazy. You mean the same thing that happens literally every time with no exceptions? Obviously, if you're going to take a building, you obviously barricade it. Why would you? Oh, bro, only Hamas tactics, only Iran could have instructed these students to move the chair in front of the door. There's no way an average American or an average student would know to do that, okay? Those are Hamas chains right there.
And stop us from coming in. But our guys would not be stopped. They did a fantastic job of
yeah, man. But our brave New York City Police Department, with only 10,000 officers descending on a few hundred protesters, we, with all the military equipment in the world, were able to easily dispatch with those wooden chairs that were blocking the doors and the bike locks that you could get for sale on the online campus safety store. You know? Thank you, New York City Police Department. You're so brave.
Into that location and taking people into custody without incident last night. They took about 40 to...
Without incident, by the way, means non-violently. Remember, the whole narrative that they're pushing here is these students are dangerous, they've been co-opted by terrorist groups, and then it's like, oh, wait, nothing happened. They didn't fire on the cops, there wasn't a shootout, like all of that fear-mongering was completely unwarranted. That whole narrative falls apart, but they're going to frame it like the only reason that's the case is because the police were just that effective. Like oh yeah, man, you know, if it wasn't for the competence and professionalism of the police, there might have been 500 dead, you know? Like, it just insane. But they'll still frame the protesters as like hyper violent.
50 people.
Don't be so harsh on them. This is the first time a cop has ever entered a school, so it's all new for them. That's true. That's true. This was actually, the crackdown on Columbia U was actually New York City's greatest, college entryism program, you know, like giving new dumb fucks a chance. Yeah, exactly. Hundreds and hundreds of officers who never before would have been able to see the inside of a university, finally getting their chance.
Into custody inside of the lobby of Hamilton Hall last night.
Nice. So named after the famous Lin-Manuel Miranda musical. Anyway, yeah, again, like, you do not, as a deputy commissioner, go on MSNBC and just say, yeah, these are like Iranian locks or whatever, without effectively being instructed to lie, which the cops do all the time, by the way. Cops lie effortlessly to protect their own interests. They do it constantly. They are an incredibly unreliable source of information, which is why so often when they give briefs that get uncritically reported by the media, information later changes, because it turns out that the cops are a biased party, not an